and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new readings every single day. And if you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the Emperor. We have the 10 of Pentacles. We have the 9 of Swords. We have the 9 of Wands. We have the Ace of Wands. Interesting. And the 8 of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So we literally go from 8, 9, 9, 10, which is interesting. Just a side note there, which to me tells me there's a lot of building happening here. But what I'm also seeing here is that a lot of you are sort of coming into your power when it comes to your manifestation. You're starting to understand abundance a little differently. You're starting to recognize where maybe you could be a stronger manifester because you're now recognizing that abundance is more than just financial gain or material gain. And you're starting to recognize the value of spiritual practice when it comes to your abundance, but also when it comes to the different areas in your life. You're starting to recognize that when you bring the spiritual into your life and you tag team that with your logic, which the Emperor is a very logical sort of energy, that you then become a very strong, unstoppable force. But there's still sort of these worries here, these sort of limiting beliefs, these anxieties and things. Maybe some of you are having some trouble sleeping or you're having stress dreams lately because there's this sort of feeling like things are getting ready to happen, big things are getting ready to come in, abundance is getting ready to come in, but you sort of feel out of place in sense of you're not quite sure what to expect or exactly how to get there. And there's this sort of worry and like you have hope for the future, but you also sort of kind of feel stuck. It's like you don't feel quite as abundant as you actually are. What I'm seeing here is that there's going to be communication coming in here shortly. There's going to be a lot of forward movement. The Ace of Wands means that there's an offer coming in. This is going to be a new way to move forward, a new passion or a new idea that's going to give you a different way of going about doing things. But part of what I'm seeing here is that some of you feel like you're waiting for this sort of moment to happen where it's like there's a definitive line between your abundance in the future and where you're at now. And you're just going to like step over the line and you're going to fully recognize that. And part of the problem here is there is no line. There is no suddenly you're stepping into this other timeline and everything's totally different. It's going to be a little more subtle than that. The shift that's happening here has more to do with your masculine side of your logic and your reason and your practicality. Mainly because with this new way that you're going about doing things, there's sort of this recognition here that you have all the power and that your thoughts and feelings are manifesting this new energy, but you're still sort of getting lost in that masculine energy of like, everything has to make sense and everything has to be A, B, and C. You're kind of not allowing things to just sort of flow and happen naturally. You have these certain expectations for how you think it's going to manifest. You need to release that because it's not really helping you. The other thing I'm hearing here is that for those of you who are waiting to change your life, like you're waiting until January 1st, you're waiting for your New Year's resolutions. You don't have to wait until January 1st to change your life. You don't have to wait a certain amount of time to take the next step. You can take the next step now. So for those of you who feel like you're being held back, you are the thing that's holding yourself back. There's nothing else holding you back. You and your limiting beliefs surrounding your success or your movement forward is what's holding you back. The ideas that you have around your success and the way you want to move forward is affecting the actions that you're taking to move forward. There was another message here. I'm trying to remember what it was. I know what it was. So part of you, the problem here is that you see sort of the long-term thing of what you want. Like you see your castle, you see yourself sitting on the throne, right? But your reality now may look very different than the reality that you're trying to step into, which is fine. That doesn't mean it's not coming. Remember that ideas are the seeds of abundance. The ideas are part of abundance. You have to have the idea first before you can take any action or have any idea, pun intended, of what you want to do or what you want to achieve. But some of you, the reason you're getting lost is because number one, you're not slowing down to listen to the divine guidance. It's much easier to connect and go with the flow of the energy of the universe when you're actually in a flow state and in tune with it. The second part is some of you, there's this disconnect that you're having between where you're at now and where you want to be. And for those of you who think there's going to be this line where suddenly you're going to step over, it's the same sort of energy here. Instead of focusing so much on the future in terms of if it's very different from what you want now, think of what you want more immediately. So for example, if you want to live in your dream house, you want to have financial freedom, and you want to have freedom to do the projects or the things that you want in your career and make a living off of that, you need to, instead of trying to tackle all of that at once, start with maybe trying to, if you want to be an entrepreneur, for example, try to figure out, okay, what can I do that puts me in a position to be an entrepreneur first? If it's the money part you're focused on, what can I do in order to make more money and save more money and maybe get out of debt? Start focusing on what you need more immediately in the present versus everything that you want long term. Because remember, in order to step into a full abundant energy of what it is you want and attract what it is you want, you have to already be in the energy of it. That can be difficult if where you're at now is very different from where you want to be. So you have to step more in increments in terms of you have to be in the energy already that you're wanting to manifest, but you may not be able to step into it on that same level. So I'm trying to think of like the easiest way to explain this, because it sounds easy, but a lot of people think that means like, okay, well, if I want to be a millionaire, that means I have to go buy a fancy car or a fancy house that I can't afford. Remember, it's not about the material things. It's about the spiritual process of it, how you feel and the spiritual aspects of it. It's not about the material part. You need to get to the root of what it is you're looking for. So if it's money, you may be looking for freedom. If you're looking for freedom, remember that freedom comes in the form of abundance in leisure time, abundance in time management, where you can go and do, maybe you want to travel, or you want to go eat more different kinds of food, or you want to be with your family more. Those energies, those roots that we've been talking about in other readings are the abundance. Those are the things you want to tap into. It's not so much about buying the car as it is doing the things that make you feel the way you want to feel when you have that car. Meaning that you've got to start visualizing and start doing things that amp up your energy to where you feel happy and abundant and enough without the car or the house or the whatever. All of that stuff will fall into place and will come with the spiritual work. It sounds easy, but it's not as easy to comprehend as a lot of people think. And this is something that I struggled with a lot when I first started doing the manifestation stuff. When I wanted to bring in more money, I would focus on money, 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 instead of focusing on the freedom or the peace of mind or the tranquility or the lack of stress. At first, when you start manifesting these things, you may think it's not working. And a good example I used, I think it was in yesterday's reading, which I'll put up in the suggestion box, was if you're asking for freedom and then you receive leisure time is a part of freedom. But if you're very ambitious and you are used to constantly hustling, that leisure time may feel as if you're not as abundant. It may feel like something you're doing is wrong, or you're not manifesting, or you're not getting what you asked for, or whatever. When in reality, the leisure time is part of the freedom that you're asking for. If you're not receiving it, you're actually rejecting that aspect of the abundance, in which case it's not coming to you fully. Usually, if the abundance is manifesting in leisure time when you're asking for something like freedom, it's because the leisure time has a purpose. The abundances that come into your life have a purpose. If you're receiving leisure time, it's because you may need to rest, or you may need to sleep more so that you have more focus and you receive bigger downloads from the universe. It may mean mean that you need to spend more time meditating and having more time for relaxation so those ideas and those creativity things can come in. Remember, the divine guidance and the divine come in the stillness. And this is what I've been trying to get you guys to understand over the last couple months. This is the piece that's so pivotally important to manifestation, is you have to understand that abundance isn't just money or material. It's spiritual. You have to focus on the spiritual first in order for the other things to come in, but it may not manifest exactly in the way you think. And if you're rejecting certain aspects of what you're asking for, the universe is like, oh, you don't want it. Okay, moving on. So start there. If you're really struggling, try writing it out in your journal. Write what this big ticket thing is. I want this long term. I want to live in my dream house. I want my dream car. I want my dream job. I want this, and this, whatever. Then I want you to break it down about, okay, that's what I want long term. What do I need now in order to get there? Or what do I need now in order to take a step in order to get there? Break it down into smaller pieces. Start with that. And then break down how those things would make you feel. So for example, if you are looking for a more fulfilling career, how would you feel if you already had that fulfilling career? Then start doing things that make you feel that way. Figure out the underlying root, and then the root, nurture it, and it will grow into the tree or the sprout or whatever section you're in next of building. But that is ultimately what we're doing here. There's going to be more guidance coming in and more ideas coming in on how to do this, and also more specifically regarding your own journey. So pay attention to synchronicities. Make sure you're taking that time to reflect. It's very easy to receive synchronicities and guidance, write it down or put it in your phone and then completely forget about it. And then the next day you forgot to act on it, or you forgot the question that was being prompted to you that was going to bring some huge revelation. The reflection part on the synchronicities and on the guidance is just as important as actually receiving them. So make sure you're doing all aspects of it and you're putting in the time, even if it's 5 minutes. Put in the time, because I promise you that's going to pay off. That is what you're missing here. So if this reading resonated with you, don't forget to like this video. Your affirmation for this reading is, I'm closing the gap between what I want long term and what I want right now. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.